In hydrogen spectra, we have some lines on hydrogen spectra. When we recorded a spectra, by studying the hydrogen atoms, we'll find some lines. And these lines are found to be some groups. This is one group of lines, and this is another group of lines, and this is some other group of lines, and this is some other group of lines. So nearly 5 groups of lines were observed in hydrogen spectra. To explain the hydrogen spectra, Niels Bohr proposed a new theory called as Bohr's theory, which covers the defects of Rutherford's theory. Rutherford's model of an atom, or Rutherford's theory, was able to explain the structure of atom to a certain extent. That is, only with regarding nucleus, this theory stands still. But according to the position of the electrons, that theory was unable to explain so many things. Out of them, one of this is this hydrogen spectra. So Bohr, keeping on a view of hydrogen atom, concentrating on hydrogen atom, or concentrating the ions like hydrogen, he proposed a new theory called as Bohr's theory. According to Bohr, the whole positive charge and mass of an atom was concentrated on at a minute point called nucleus. Minute point called nucleus. Around this nucleus, at a specific distance, there are certain circular orbits. These circular orbits are designated as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on from the nucleus side, or with capital K, capital L, capital M, capital N, O, and so on from the nucleus side. In these circular orbits, the electron will revolve. Due to the quantization of energy, each circular orbit was associated with a specific amount of energy. The energy of first energy level, let it be E1. Energy of second energy level, E2. Energy of third energy level, E3, E4, and so on. Each orbit is associated with a specific amount of energy. Electron will revolve in this energy level, this orbit. As long as electron is revolving in this energy level, it neither lose energy nor gain energy on its own. That's why these energy levels are called as stationary energy levels. The electron is also associated with certain amount of energy. The electron can revolve or present in this energy level when the energy of electron will equal to the energy of the energy level. Then only the electron will revolve here. Energy level is also associated with a specific amount of energy. Electron will also associated with a specific amount of energy. When an electron is revolving in this energy level means that electron will possess the same amount of energy that was possessed by this orbit. For example, if we supply some energy by means of photons, that means when this atom is exposed to energy, that energy was absorbed by the electrons. When after absorbing energy, if energy of this electron exceeds E1 and equal to E2, then what happens? The electron present here will jump into this energy So when it jump into from one energy level to other energy level by absorption of energy, that's why we'll get one line on the absorption spectra. If it excited to this energy level, when its energy is equal to E3, then it will form another different line in the spectra. If it excited to this level, they will form some other line. So basing on the difference in these energy levels, or basing on the number of photons that were absorbed by these electrons, the electron may excited to any one of these next higher energy levels, and it will form a line with respect to that energy. So when electrons are absorbing energy, they get excited to higher energy levels. Then they form absorption spectra. When they come down to the ground level, they emit energy. That energy is delta E, and this delta E is equal E2 minus E1. That is the energy of the higher energy level to the lower energy level in which the transition takes place. That is equal to h nu. That is equal to hc by lambda. So the wavelength or the frequency of light radiation will depend upon the difference in the energy of these energy levels. You may have doubt. In hydrogen, we have only one electron. If it jumps from one energy level to another energy level, only one line have to be formed. But we are claiming that 5 groups of lines are there. That means several lines were formed here in the spectra. If one electron was there, how this much number of lines are forming? Your doubt is a genuine doubt. But here, remember, we cannot find a single hydrogen atom. It is very difficult. While studying hydrogen gas, we'll take a sample of gas. When we take a sample of gas, some lakhs of atoms will present in that sample. When this much number of atoms were exposed to the light, one atom may get 1 photon energy, other atom may get 2 photons, 3 photons, 4. So each atom, the amount of energy that was absorbed by each atom is different. So each atom will absorb a different amount of energy, a different number of photons, not protons, different number of photons. Some atoms may absorb 1 photon, some atoms may absorb 2 photons, some atoms may absorb 3 photons, some atoms may absorb 4 photons, 5 photons, so on. That's why in each atom, in normal state, the electron is in the first energy level. But when it was exposed to light, each atom behaves independently. In some atoms, the electron in the first energy level goes to second energy level. In some atoms, it will goes to third energy level. In some atoms, it will goes to fourth energy level, fifth energy level, sixth energy, and so on. So each excitation will give a definite line. That's why that much number of lines were observed, or formed in hydrogen spectra. This was the explanation that was given by Bohr to explain the hydrogen spectra. Now let us observe the theory that was proposed by Bohr to explain the structure of an atom. According to Niels Bohr, in an atom, the whole mass and positive charge, why we are using the term mass instead of neutrons? At the time of this Bohr's theory, neutrons were not discovered. Only electrons and protons were discovered. Neutrons are yet to be discovered. But Bohr and Rutherford, both of them, have an idea that in addition to neutrons and protons and electrons, some other mass with a neutral charge may also present along with these atoms. That's why we are using the term whole positive charge and mass was concentrated at a minute point called nucleus. Around the nucleus, at a specific distance, we have certain circular orbits. These circular orbits are designated as 1, 2, 3, 4, so on from the nucleus side. Or they can also be designated as capital K, capital L, capital M, capital N, and so on from the nucleus side. Each orbit, due to the quantization of energy, will have a specific amount of energy. That's why these orbits are called as energy levels. As long as electrons revolve in these energy levels, electrons will neither lose energy nor gain energy. That's why they are called as stationary energy levels. Stationary energy levels. When an electron is revolving in a stationary energy level, electron will also have certain amount of energy. That orbit will also have a certain amount of energy. Electron can revolve in this energy level when the energy of that electron will equal to the energy of the energy level. Suppose these atoms are subjected to exposure to energy. In such cases, the electrons will absorb energy by means of photons. Then the energy of electron will increases. If energy of the electron reaches to the energy of the next higher energy level, then these electrons will excited and jumped into the next higher energy level. This process is said to be excitation of electron. Because of this excitation, we'll find some lines on the absorption spectra. The energy and wavelength of that line will depend upon the difference in the energy of those two energy levels in which the electron transition takes place. And those electrons which are excited may not going to be stay there permanently. They will get back to the original state. When they are reaching to the original state, they emit energy in the form of photons equal to the difference in the energy between the two energy levels in which the electron transition takes place. Because of that, we are getting that emission spectra. So both emission and absorption spectra will give the same information, that is what wavelength of light radiations were emitted by those electrons during the excitation and de-excitations. Now, Niels Bohr was proposed that the angular moment of electron that is revolving in this orbit is also quantized, and it will be equal to whole number multiple of h by 2 pi. That is the angular momentum of an electron. Angular momentum of electron. We know when an object is there, it will have mass. When it is moving, it will have velocity. So when object in motion, we consider momentum, mass and velocity. When an object is moving in a circular path, it will have an angular momentum. So the angular momentum of an electron revolving in the circular orbit, MVR, is equal to a whole number multiple of h by 2 pi. N into h by 2 pi, where n is an integer, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. That means the angular momentum of an electron in the first energy level is h by 2 pi. The angular momentum of electron in the second energy level is equal to 2 into h by 2 pi. In the third energy level, angular momentum of electron in third energy level will be 3 into h by 2 pi. The angular momentum of electron in the fourth energy level will be 4 into h by 2 pi. But was unable to give the reason why the angular momentum is quantizing. Bohr proposed that angular momentum is quantizing, but he was unable to explain why it has to be quantized. For this question, we'll get the answer in some other theory known as de Broglie's theory. We'll get answer for this question. Now, Bohr was also able to calculate the radius of each energy level. Remember, Bohr's theory was only regarding hydrogen because he has done the experiments on hydrogen atom. The whole theory is applicable only for hydrogen atom or hydrogen-like ions which has only one electron. So Bohr was able to calculate the radius of hydrogen atom. The radius of nth orbit of hydrogen atom, Rn, is equal to n square h square by 4 pi square me square. 4 pi square me square. This is the expression for the calculation of radius of nth orbit of hydrogen atom. H is a Planck's constant. Its value, we know that 6.625 into 10 to the power minus 27. Pi is 22/7. M is the mass of the electron. This will also be a standard value. E is the charge of electron. This is also a constant value. So on substituting all these constants, we have 0.529 into 10 to the power minus 8 centimeter into n square centimeters. By using this formula, you can easily calculate the radius of each orbit. For first orbit is 0.529 angstroms, or 0.529 into 10 to the power minus 8 centimeters. For second orbit into 4, for third orbit into 9, for fourth orbit into 16, for fifth orbit into 25. So this is the radius of hydrogen atom. And Bohr was also able to calculate the energy of the nth orbit of hydrogen atom. Bohr was able to calculate the energy of the nth orbit of hydrogen atom. So we can calculate energy level of hydrogen atom by using this expression, that is minus 2 pi square m e to the power 4 by n square h square. Here m is mass of an electron, that is 9.11 into 10 to the power minus 28 grams. And E is the charge of an electron. This is 4.8 into 10 to the power 10 ESU. Whereas H is the Planck's constant, 6.625 into 10 to the power minus 27 erg second. Pi is 22/7. By substituting all these values, we'll get 2.176 into 10 to the power minus 11 by n square ergs per atom. Ergs per atom. Or it may be equal to minus 2.176 into 10 to the power minus 18 by n square joules per atom. Or it will be equal to minus 13.8 by n square electron volt per atom. In different units, the energy of nth energy level of hydrogen will as follows. So, Bohr's theory successfully explains the structure of hydrogen atom and hydrogen spectra. he was able to calculate the energy level of hydrogen atom. The Bohr's calculation is almost equal to the radius of hydrogen atom, because according to Bohr, the energy of the first energy level is 0.523 angstroms. So radius of hydrogen is approximately equal to it. So Bohr's expression, it proves that Bohr's expression for the radius is correct. Similarly, the ionization of energy of hydrogen atom will prove the Bohr's expression that was proposed to calculate the energy of energy level. But Bohr's theory was failed in some aspects. That is, Bohr's theory is a flat model, but atoms are spherical in shape. Second failure is Bohr's theory was restricted only for hydrogen atom and hydrogen-like ions which are having only one electron. But it was unable to explain multi-electron atoms. That means the structure of atoms which are having more than one electron. Bohr's theory fails to explain such theories, structure of such atoms. And Bohr's theory failed to explain the fine lines of the spectra. Because we have already studied, when hydrogen spectra, we'll find a group of lines in hydrogen spectra. But when the spectra was recorded with a powerful spectroscope, each line in the hydrogen spectra are found to be a group of lines. That spectra is said to be a fine spectra. Why this fine spectra is forming? That reason was not explained by Bohr. He was unable to give the reason for the fine lines of the spectra. And spectra was recorded in a when atoms are kept in magnetic field or electric field. Further splitting was observed in those fine lines that we call it as splitting of spectral lines. That splitting of spectral lines were also not explained by Niels Bohr. That's why this Bohr's theory, though it gives a lot of information regarding the structure of an atom, though it plays a path for the further discoverers, it was unable to explain so many things like this. That's why we should depend upon other theories to explain or to study the structure of these atoms.